Prince George Library patrons. My name is Jeannine Randall and I'm a grad student up at the University of British Columbia and I study birds. So I was going to talk to you this morning about the joy of bird watching and what a great hobby it can be. There's lots of benefits to birding, and it's a good social distancing safe hobby. It provides us a connection to the natural world, gets us outside, it's free, relatively low equipment needs, and it can be a little overwhelming, but it's pretty easy and you can get into it at whatever level you want to. To get started, oh, I just heard a bird. The first thing is that you want to start noticing birds. So looking for movement or hearing them is a great way to kind of pick up on the fact that they're there. And if bird watching isn't something that you've done before, you'll be amazed how many birds there are around that you weren't even aware of. So if you start keying in on movement or listening for their calls, you'll realize how many birds there really are in Prince George. And part of that is because Prince George has all these great natural areas. So we're in Moores Meadow, great place with lots of different habitat, good place to watch birds, but chances are so is your backyard. So that's the first tip, is birds are everywhere. You just have to kind of start paying attention. The second thing is that you don't have to know what a bird is to enjoy watching it. You can watch them feed, you can watch their behaviors, notice things like if they're carrying material. If they're carrying material, they're probably building a nest. So that can help you to kind of understand what they're doing without even knowing what species it is. But if you can identify the species, then you can get lots more information. There's tons of information about birds online. There's bird guides. Bird guide here, although we'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit. So to start identifying birds, you want to start noticing a little bit more things about them. So how big they are, what shape they are, some of the colors. A really good identifying feature to look at is the bill, because that relates to what they eat, which can help you figure out what group they're in. So some of the common groups of birds around here, you'll get raptors, you'll get waterfowl, you'll get songbirds, and what you're going to see in your backyard is a lot of songbirds. And then within songbirds, you can start to figure out, to break that down into different groups. So things like sparrows, which are small and brown and stripy, that's the technical term. Warblers have generally lots of black and yellow markings. So if you see a bird that's got a lot of yellow on it and it's small, then you can start, you can hypothesize that it might be a warbler, and you can start trying to figure out which warbler it is. So another good thing to do is to know the common birds in your area. So like this morning in Moores Meadows, we've seen chickadees, yellow rump warblers, robins, crows, that sort of thing. And once you know what you're looking for, that can really help you once you know what's likely, that will help you to identify them. Things that come through PG in the spring that you will definitely see in your backyard are yellow rump warblers, and they're nicely named. They have a yellow patch on their butt, and often a little bit of yellow on their head as well, and on their throat. And then another thing that I have a ton of in my backyard are white-crowned sparrows. So again, nicely named. They have they're mostly gray colored, and they have a little white stripe on the top of their head. So that's of course not an exhaustive list, but a couple common species to start out looking for. So now that you've got your backyard birding game down and you're noticing movement and you're getting the basics, when you want to elevate your birding game, there's a couple of tools that'll really help you out with that. So the first thing is I would recommend getting a good pair of binoculars, because you just can't see enough detail with your eyes. And you don't need to spend $1,000 on this. You can get a very decent pair for $30. Mine are kind of more in the sort of $120 range. I think it's a good investment. They last forever if you take care of them. But once you have binoculars, you have to learn how to use them. And this sounds kind of silly, but if you're trying to follow a moving bird, this can be kind of difficult. So it's a good idea to practice a little bit first. And my tip for doing this is find something to look at, focus on that point, and then bring your binoculars up to your eye and try to not move. So what should happen is that what you're looking at when you bring your binoculars up, you'll still be looking at that thing. And that will help you to pinpoint. So you see a little bird in a bush, you're looking at it, you bring your binoculars up, you're still looking at it rather than trying to find it. So that's a good tip. Second thing is a bird guide. Now this is a bird guide to all of North America. You don't need anything this robust. But one for Western North America is a good idea, and I recommend. So this is a Sibley's Guide to Birds, which is my favorite. But there's lots of different good ones. But what I recommend when you're picking one is that you pick one that has drawings, not pictures, because drawings they'll show different detail, because not every bird looks the same, even of the same species. So they'll show different level of detail, and they'll show the identifying features rather than just what that individual looks like. And the other thing I recommend is one that has a range map. So this range map is color-coded. Orange are things that are here in the summer, or things that are in this area in the summer. Blue is winter, and purple is year-round. So this is the yellow rump warbler that I was talking about earlier, and you can see that in the summer, spring and summer, they're really widely distributed across North America, but they're not here in the winter. So if you see something that you think might be a yellow rump warbler, but it's January, then you might want to consider other alternatives. And a range map can give you that information really easily. Another thing that you can use are apps or websites. One app I would recommend checking out is called Merlin. It's produced by the Cornell Lab of Ornithology. It's free, price is right, and it has a feature where you can put in the things that you see about the bird, that you notice about the bird, so the size, the coloring, and where you are, and it will suggest an identification. So this is a great tool when you're starting out, or if you're in an area where you don't normally bird when we're all able to travel again. So that's all the tips I have for today. But to kind of sum this up, I hope that some of you start watching birds. I think that watching birds can really give us a good connection to our environment. It's socially distanced safe, it's cheap, and I think it's a really enjoyable, great hobby that you can do your whole life. So thank you very much, and happy birding.